Mimu on the cello, and welcome back to my cello tutorials. Today we shall be talking about tuning. Now we use our tuning pegs, of course, to tune, and our fine tuners. So we shall start with the fine tuners because that's the easiest thing to learn for now, and then once you're comfortable tuning the fine tuners, you can advance and progress to the tuning pegs. So what's the difference between the fine tuners and the tuning pegs? We had covered this, but I'll repeat it. As the fine tuners move smaller steps, so if you're slightly sharp or slightly flat, then you use your fine tuners. But then if your strings are completely out of tune, or if you're getting a new cello, of course it's going to be completely out of tune, then you'll need to use the tuning pegs. So if you look at your fine tuners, each fine tuner is allocated to each string. Like this is a C fine tuner, the G one, the D, and this tunes the A string. Now if you want to know which tuning pegs tune which string, you can just follow the string and see into which peg it's connected to, right? Alright, so you can use different methods of tuning. There's a tuning fork method, or you can get you can get an A from any instrument and you can tune to that using your harmonics, which is an advanced lesson that we shall cover later on. You can use an actual tuner that you can clip, a physical tuner that you can clip on your cello and use that to tune, or an app, which is my all-time favorite. So I use an app personally, and I use the Sound Corset app, which I will show it to you just now. I find it to be really effective because it has so many features. It has the metronome, it has a tuning fork, you can record, it has different rhythms, so it's my all-time favorite. So this is my tuner. As you can see, there's right there in the middle, you'll see a 0, and then on this side you see the negative side and then the positive side. So if your string is on the negative side, it means that you're flat, and if your string is on the positive side, it means that you're sharp and you need to bring it back to 0. Okay, so I will show you how to use a tuner, and we're going to tune some strings. I intentionally detuned my strings just slightly so for this exercise right here. Okay, so I'll start tuning with my A string. So I'm going to play my A. As you can see, my A is not so out of tune, so I'm just going to detune it real quick. Okay. Yeah, it's just slightly flat. It's at like -30. So what I like to do, this is like some acrobat things. I like to put my cello nice and safe on my left leg. Not many people do this, but I find it easier so that when I'm bowing, I can be able to reach out to my A string and tune at the same time. However, if you do not feel comfortable, if you feel like your cello is not stable, I would recommend please do not do that. Okay? So, since it's flat, what I will do is I will tighten my fine tuner. Look, I'm using my A fine tuner, so I'm gonna tighten it by turning it clockwise. Okay, so I'll turn it just a little bit, and what you need to do is keep checking. As you play, I'm almost there, just slightly flat. And I'm in tune. Okay, so I'm going to tune the rest of the strings. I'll tune my D. My D is very sharp. So I'm going to demonstrate my acrobat method of tuning. And I'll reach out for my D. And I will loosen my fine tuner. So I'm turning it anti-clockwise, and I'm doing this simultaneously. So I'm bowing and I'm making sure that my bow is consistent, the sound is consistent, and you'd like to tune very loud, so that because once you play it soft and then you end up playing it later in tune and you play it loud, you'll probably be slightly sharp or maybe a whole lot sharp. So what you want to do is tune loud and make sure, the trick is to make sure that you have a consistent loud sound throughout. Like so. And you do not want to keep changing your bow too much because of the frequency. So you want to keep it as consistent as possible, nice and slow and loud. Alright, so I'm going to do that as I turn my tuning peg, my fine tuner, anti-clockwise. So I'm loosening it, in other words. Like I'll always check my A again. So once you tune a string, you tune the next one, always check the other one, because what happens is, because we are altering the tension within the cello, is you might affect the other tuned string as well. So you have to always keep checking, making sure that they're all still in tune. Okay, so I'll check my A again real quick. It's just slightly flat. There we go. And my D, and we're good. So I'm going to tune my G. Ooh, it's very flat. So I'm going to tighten it, tighten it, tighten it. Okay, I went a little overboard, so I'm going to come back. There we go, we're in tune. I'll check my D. I'll check my A. So you have to keep checking the strings. And then finally, I'll tune my C. Now this takes a lot of practice, so I would recommend you to start with the normal tightening and loosening and checking, and then once you start feeling comfortable with the posture and everything, then you can try this, because this also takes some time to perfect and to make sure that you're getting the correct sound and your cello is still nice and stable and safe, right? I'll tune my C string. Still flat. Very flat. I'm going to tighten it. There we go. I'm almost. And then I'll check my G. So keep practicing, keep tuning your instrument slightly. You can take some strings sharp, slightly is a keyword, slightly sharp, slightly flat, and then practice tuning with your fine tuners. So once you get comfortable, then we can move on to our tuning peg. Okay, so now I'll show you how to tune with your tuning pegs. As you can see, I've lowered my cello and I'll have it face me. Feel free to actually have your end pin out and stand. Feel free to stand and do this while standing. I'll do it while seated. I'm going to detune my strings. Now remember, please do not detune all your strings at once, because what will happen is your bridge is held together on the, like we had talked about, it's held together on the cello by the tension of the strings. Another thing that is held together by the tension of the strings is the sound post. Yeah, so what happens is the bridge, you can always put it back, that's not hard, but when the sound post collapse, you'll definitely have to go to a luthier and have it fixed. Now, I would not recommend you playing, if it ever happens that your sound post collapses, please do not play it until you get it fixed. You will notice the difference, because do you see this bulging? This is as a result of the sound post. So if it collapses, it normally flattens. So that's one of the tell signs of your sound post collapsing. And also if you move your cello around, you can always feel something moving inside your cello. That's probably your sound post and you need to have it fixed. Okay, so I'll detune my D string, completely detune it, and I will detune what else? I'll detune my C as well. Okay, so I'm going to play. My D string is completely out, it's at B flat. And before I start tuning it, I will make sure I untune, loosen my fine tuners, at least for the string that I am tuning. So I've also loosened the C one. And so what you want to do is tune it to a semitone below the note. Now, in case you're wondering, you know, a lot of people get scared about tuning because they're afraid of the string snapping in their faces or just generally snapping. So this helps you, or helps your strings not snap, by tuning a semitone below the note. So for instance, if we are tuning D, we'll tune it to C sharp. And what you want to do is to tune it to a proper C sharp or a slightly sharp C sharp. Yeah, so that you can leave the rest to the fine tuner, so that you can get it as close as possible to D. The reason why string snap is when you over tune. For instance, if you tune it beyond the D, if you go to like an F or a G, of course your string will snap. So the trick is to tune it just like a slightly close to the note that you want, and then complete the rest with your fine tuners. Once you get comfortable with that, you can now tune to the D or to the note that you want, but you have to always be really careful. Even me, like up to date, I still tune a semitone lower. Depends on my moods that day. Okay, so how do you tune? I will look at my D string and I'm going to follow it all the way, and it leads me to this tuning peg. So when you get used to it, you can be able to tell this is a C, this is a G, this is a D, and this is a A. So you can tune it this way, but I like turning my cello to face me and tune it while I'm here. So I'm going to grab the D tuner, and what I want to do is to turn it. And remember not to turn it, it's not that far, so don't turn it too much. And I just want to get it as close. So as I turn it, I want to keep checking. Do you see? I'm at D flat, I'm just slightly flat. There we go. So D flat is the same as C sharp. And then I'm actually at D, which is not bad. I'm at a flat D, which is actually a good place to use the fine tuners. However, what I did not do, did you notice how my string, my tuner went round, it unwinded on its own? The reason for that is I was turning, but I was not pushing. So what you want to do, I'll actually take it much, I'll loosen it completely. As you can see, it's completely loose. So what you want to do is to turn as you push. Turn as you push. Okay, so I'm going to have it face me, and I will turn it as I'm pushing it, and then also check. I'm at B flat, so I'm close now, so I will just move smaller steps as I push it inside. I'm at B. So remember, we want to get to D flat. Oof. And then what happens is, if you push it too much when it is completely untuned, you do not have any more room, so you cannot go too far. So remember, as you're pushing it, you just push it a little bit. So that's the mistake I did, so I'm gonna undo it again, and I will push it, tune it, and now I'm at a flat D. I'm at a very sharp D flat, and that's what we want. Okay, so I'll move on to the next string. So remember to always check the strings in case they need tuning. So those ones need tuning, but I can use the fine tuners. My C string is completely out, so I'm going to repeat. This is the tuner this is the tuning peg for the C string, so I'm going to repeat the same thing. I will turn it as I push, and this time round we're aiming for B, because B to C is a semitone. So we're aiming for a sharp B or a normal B. I find the C string to be very easy to tune, so I'm still a long way. Oh, I went beyond what I wanted. Did you see? I'm at D flat, so I'm just going to loosen it. Even when you're loosening, you loosen it, but you push it. Remember to loosen as you push. So I'm at a sharp C, I'm just going to loosen it a bit. There we go. So you just need to remember to be careful not to go beyond where you want to be at. So I'll just check the rest of my strings to see if they're good, so that I can come back to my fine tuners. That's at an A, that's fine. That's at a sharp D flat, which is fine. That's at a G, which is also fine. That's not reading. That's at a sharp B, which is fine. So now we're very close, and we can use our fine tuners, which I'm going to do really fast. So now we'll go back to our fine tuners like I had demonstrated earlier, and now it's going to be, once you've perfected this, then it should be easier for you to tune. So my A is good, so I'm going to tune my B, which is still flat, so I'm going to really tighten this. I'm just going to tighten want to make sure is your fine tuners are in such a level, are always in that level where that you still have room to tighten and you have room to loosen in case your string is sharp or flat. Sometimes you might find that you've loosened it completely and your string is still sharp. That means you need to just slightly loosen from your from your tuning pegs. If you find that you keep tightening and you're still flat but you've gotten to the end of the fine tuner, that means you need to loosen your fine tuner and tighten from here and then start tuning all over again, tuning the string all over again. But that's it for tuning. See you next time. Please feel free to like, share and subscribe.